everyone, I wanted to do a labor and delivery story for this little guy, baby Charlie. Let me let you get a look at him. Is that bright? Is that a bright window? Okay, so this little guy, today is Thursday, April 3rd. So tomorrow this guy will be 3 weeks old, and that makes me really sad because I don't even know how it's been 3 weeks already. That's just insane. So anyway, let's start with the night before I went into labor. He was born on March 14th. So on March 13th, I had no signs I was going into labor whatsoever. Absolutely zero. I didn't think it was going to happen. I thought I still had like 2 weeks. I wasn't worried about it, nothing. No idea. So we're sitting at my in-laws' house on the couch. We just finished having like a family dinner. We eat dinner together a lot. They live right around the corner, so sitting there just talking and just thinking about when this little guy would come, which again I thought was like 2 weeks. And I asked Emmett, my 3-year-old, I said, Emmett, when do you think Charlie's gonna get here? When do you think he's coming home? He goes, 10. And we're like, oh, that's so funny, he said 10. And so that night, 10 o'clock came and went, and we're like, oh, he was wrong, how funny, and, just kind of laughing it off, made a big joke of it. And little did we know he would be born at 10:45 the next day. So, note to self, sometimes Emmett is right. Couldn't really go to sleep that night. I had a terrible headache. I was just kind of restless. It was a sinus headache, and I didn't want to take sinus medicine because it would keep me up, and so I couldn't sleep. So I did a bunch of laundry and just kind of watched TV. Didn't rest at all. And finally, my husband woke up at like, I don't know, 3 o'clock. It was a little before 3. And he was like, why are you still awake? And I said, I have this terrible headache. So he goes, well, come here, I'll rub your head. Maybe that'll help you fall asleep, because normally that will. So I, lay down again. He starts rubbing my head, and then all of a sudden I look at him and I was like, and he goes, what's wrong? And I said, my water just broke. And he was like, are you kidding me? And I said, no. And sure enough, my water broke, and I had no idea. And so he was like, oh my gosh. He goes, do I have time to take a shower? I said, yeah. I said, I'm not even having contractions. It's fine. So I got up and got ready and got all the bags near the front door for him to carry out. And I called my mom because she was going to come get him, but it was the middle of the night, so we ended up just having my father-in-law come over and stay with him until the morning, and my mom just came and got him that following morning, because he has so much fun at her house, he wouldn't even be thinking about the fact that mommy and daddy weren't there. So anyways, he gets out the shower, I'm ready, he loads up the car, then we drive to the hospital, which is about, normally it takes us about 20 minutes, but 3:30 in the morning, there was no one on the road. So we make good time. This time I'm starting to have contractions, so he gets us there pretty fast. And we have to go in through the emergency room because the labor and delivery entrance is all locked. They lock it after 10 o'clock. So we go in through the ER, where I did not want to go in through there because, we know so many people there. It was just, I don't know. So he gets me a wheelchair, which I didn't want to do either, but he made me, and we wheeled to the other side of the hospital, and it was, by the time we got up there, I was actually starting to really hurt and having a lot of contractions, and it was so gross, but we got off the elevator, and as we're right outside the labor and delivery room, I have another contraction, and more water comes out, and it's on the floor, and I was just humiliated, and it was disgusting. And she's like, well, I guess your water did break. And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a good indication, and I'm embarrassed, and that's disgusting, and I'm sorry. She's like, don't worry about it. Well, you didn't, we've had worse, and trying to make me feel better, but I was still pretty grossed out. So then I get into my room and unload everything and get into the bed and, get the gown on and all that, and they check my vitals, everything's good. They gave me an IV on the top of my arm over here, on my left arm, which is not the ideal spot, but I was trying to not be a bad patient. and it blew and infiltrated, and it turned purple and black, and it was really gross, and it hurt, and I was not happy about that, but I did not say anything anyways. And so I had one in my right hand. She wouldn't let me drink, which made me really mad because I was so thirsty. And so that made me even more grumpy. And I'm normally not, even when I'm in pain, I'm not grumpy, but I was so grumpy. Like, I was so tired because I hadn't had any sleep all night long, and I started to hurt really bad. I was having horrible back labor. Horrible, horrible, horrible back labor. It hurt so bad. I don't even know. So I tried to relax. I changed positions as much as I could. I got on all fours. I got on a birthing ball. My husband tried applying pressure to my back, massaging my back, heat pack, cold pack, whatever. Nothing was helping. I was hurting so bad. And then as labor progressed, they determined that he unfortunately was OP, which means that was face up, and all this nice huge noggin was rubbing against my back, and it was hurting a lot. And so by the time, I think it was around, I want to say like 8 o'clock or so, I was like crying. And again, I don't do that either. not when I'm in pain. I was in tears. I was like, don't touch me. And I was not happy at all. I was so just pissed at the world that I was hurting and everything else. So my husband's like, this is ridiculous. There's no reason you need to, put yourself in pain like this. You know that this is not typical for you to have back labor like this, blah, blah, blah. It hurt way worse than it did with Emmett. So anyway, got an epidural, which hurt a lot, but it didn't hurt as bad as the back labor going on. So after that, I was able to sleep, and I slept for probably, I felt like it was like 5 hours, but it was really only an hour. And I was on my right side. Mistake, because, the epidural basically numbed the right side. So I wake up in intense pain all over again. I felt like I didn't even have an epidural. And so I was like, maybe I need another bolus if I'm still going to be in labor for that much longer. And my midwife came in, and, oh, that's another thing. I had a midwife. If you had watched, all my pregnancy vlogs, the practice where I went didn't have a midwife when I first got pregnant, but she just joined the practice like a month ago. And so I just met her and really, really liked her. And she delivers during the week, during the day. And I was like, please let me get her. And I did. And I loved her, and she was phenomenal. And she's the one who called the anesthesiologist and got me an epidural fast, because normally you have to wait like an hour. And she was like, oh, no, I'm calling him for you right now. And I was like, you're my hero. But anyways, so she came in and checked me, and she was like, oh, yeah, you're hurting because he's coming. He's here now. And I was like, oh, well, that explains it, because this really hurts. And so they get all set up and, everything like that. And basically, that was it. I pushed less than 10 times. I want to say like between 6 and 9 times, somewhere around there. And she delivered the head, and then she let my husband do the rest, which was nice, because my husband also delivered our first son. And so he got to deliver both of them, which was, I think, really special. And they put him on my chest directly, and it was just so wonderful that he was there, and they didn't even have to use a bulb syringe, nothing. He cleared his own airway, and he was crying and pinking up, and just absolutely perfect. And I just thinking about it makes me want to tear up. And it was so wonderful, because when I gave birth to Emmett, I got to hold him for 2 seconds, and then they took him from me. And I didn't see him for like an hour. And I was like, he was in the room with me, but they took him from me. And I'm like, I worked really hard, and I just got to meet him. Can I please have my baby back? But so I was so thankful, that they didn't take this guy from me. They put him right on me, right here. That's where you were. And they, left me alone. There wasn't a million people in the room like there was with Emmett, and it was just a much better experience. It was a different hospital. Much better experience. They didn't even take him away from me, didn't even touch him, didn't mess with me for, I don't know, I want to say like 2 hours. They just left us alone and let us enjoy time with, our little baby. And then they weighed him. He was 7 pounds, 1 ounce, 20 inches long. Perfect APGAR scores, 9 and 9. The only thing that we had to deal with is the discrepancy in my due date. According to me, he was 37 weeks. According to them, he was 36 and 2 days, or 1 day, or something like that. But they did the gestational age assessment, which they did have to take him for like an hour, which made me a nervous wreck. But he was the only baby there at the time, so it was okay. And which made me a nervous wreck, but I understand they had to do it. And he was 37 weeks, and he's perfect. And we were out within 36 hours. So that's my labor and delivery story. It was a much better experience. My recovery has been much better. I barely tore at all, like very, very little. And I think the Primrose capsules help with that. So definitely wish I had done that the first time around. But it was wonderful. It was, except for the back labor, that sucked. But you know, it's all worth it. Once you hold them, you forget that you were ever in that much pain. It's so crazy how that works. It was great, and he's here, and he's, like I said, he's just perfect. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, let me know, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.